Tabata is killing every bit of your conditioning for your combat sport, and here's every reason why. Hey everyone, James here from Sweet Science of Fighting. And before we dive into these reasons about why Tabata is no good for your fight conditioning, we need to define what Tabata is, because what you see on the internet with people doing Tabata workouts or at your local gym with their Tabata classes is not Tabata. Tabata cannot go past 4 minutes. If it's going past 4 minutes, it's not Tabata, it's not intense enough. If we look at the original study by Dr. Tabata in 1996, he lays out the protocol where you're going to perform 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, which you already know. You're going to perform 7 to 8 rounds of that at 170% of your VO2 max on a stationary bike. Now, 170% of your VO2 max is a pace that you can keep for around 50 seconds. Once you reach that 50-second mark, you can no longer keep that intensity. He even states within his studies that it needs to be so intense that by rep 7 or 8, you can't complete anymore. If you can complete more after you do 8, you then need to increase the intensity. So you need to basically balls to the wall, be absolutely completely fucked when you do Tabata for it to be Tabata. And to back up how intense Tabata really is, in their follow-up study they did, only 2/3 of the subjects actually were able to finish the protocol. So the so-called Tabata that you see people doing on YouTube or maybe at your local gym is nowhere near intense enough. And what you would classify what other people are doing when they're calling it Tabata as more high-intensity interval training. So let's cover the 3 main reasons why Tabata is no good for your fight conditioning. And the first one is the adaptations max out very, very quickly. And I'm talking within a few weeks. If you do the Tabata protocol, which is that 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, and it's 4 days a week, and you have that 5th day where you do sub-maximal with a little bit of light, low intensity cardio, you're gonna max out aerobic and anaerobic adaptations within 3 to 4 weeks. And I'm talking VO2 max and other anaerobic metabolism. As the study ran for 6 weeks, that means anywhere from week 3 or 4 to week 6, there were no real significant improvements from there. So the question becomes, if you're using Tabata as your main condition or one of your conditioning modalities, what do you do after 3 or 4 weeks? You've now maxed out aerobic and anaerobic adaptations from this modality. You can't do more, because if you do more, you're not doing Tabata and you're gonna literally run yourself into the ground. You can't increase the intensity because the intensity is already near maximal. And you also can't increase the volume or the frequency. So you have to basically do something completely different to see further adaptation. The second reason is it's highly fatiguing. I mean, to the point where, as I mentioned earlier, that subjects can barely complete the 7th and 8th rep of their Tabata protocol. So if you are preparing for a fight and you're a combat sports athlete and you're already training pretty much every day of the week because you've got to cover so much in terms of your skills and your other strength work, where do you fit this Tabata in? And if you do fit it in, what do you take out of your training? Now, if you're going to do 4 Tabata sessions a week, you're going to have to take out all of your other conditioning. You're probably going to have to drop some of your skill sessions just to get those in. And that becomes a big problem when you're a competitive fighter or even just an amateur fighter. Now, you could make an argument, hey, I'm just going to do Tabata once or twice a week. But if you're doing that once or twice a week, that's still taking away from other conditioning you could be doing that would make you better. And I'm talking about your low intensity cardio work, your threshold work, basically targeting that aerobic energy system and doing so in a way that's going to let you have energy to put towards your skills training, which is the most important part of your training week. And my final reason is you can't perform Tabata with any other piece of exercise equipment. Now, the Tabata protocol is done on the bike, and it's done on the bike mainly because you can maintain and track that intensity, but it's also safe when you're going to basically failure. Now, people will talk about doing Tabata, battle ropes, Tabata push-ups, and whatever the hell they're doing, but it's not Tabata. It can't be intense enough, and it's not going to give you any of the adaptations that you're looking for from Tabata doing or using those exercises. You could make an argument that you'll use your combat sports skills as the Tabata exercise modality, but again, you don't want to start under huge fatigue throwing punches, shooting takedowns, or whatever it is, and making them sloppy and ingraining poor technique when you're tired. So what should you do instead of Tabata then if you're going to prepare for a fight, or even if you're an amateur just looking to get in better shape through your combat sport? Now, I like to follow what I call the funnel system, and the funnel system is based on the high-low method by Charlie Francis, and that is pairing very high intensity training. And by high intensity, I don't mean balls to the wall cardio. I mean high neural output. So things like power shots, whether that's punching or kicking, power shots, whether that's shooting takedowns, could be throwing medicine balls, jumps, Olympic lifts, all those things in the gym. And then you pair that with your low day. So the following day might be the very low intensity, no stress cardio. It could be things like going for a short run. It could be on the bike rower. It could be shadow boxing. All those kind of things fit under that umbrella. Now, what you want to do is you want to spend as much time there as possible. What you're trying to do is trying to build this huge gas tank, doing the least amount of work possible. You want to do just enough training where you're moving the needle, but not eating into your energy that you need to perform your skills or fight training. So that means performing low intensity cardio, and that's not going to make you slow because you're performing all your speed and power training at the same time. And the idea is where the funnel comes in, as we get closer and closer to a fight, we start to increase the intensity of the aerobic training, and that eventually transitions into more targeted anaerobic lactic training. And we're moving from our alactic power on our high days, our pure speed and power, which we will still cover most of the way through, but it's going to come down to a more capacity base. We want to be able to repeat that over and over. Now, that's not to say that you need to do repeated power, repeated sprint training to improve that repeat sprint or repeat power ability. It doesn't just come down to that. The aerobic energy system plays a huge part in how well you maintain your power or your speed through repeat efforts. And that is why we lay that foundation for as long as possible, because it takes long. And then the last point on this, the aerobic energy system is the most trainable energy system. So if we spend a lot of time performing hard interval training and we're starting to bring our blood lactate up to very high levels and really nailing the anaerobic energy system, there's not as much room to move. We're talking about the aerobic energy system is essentially only 30% genetic. We have 70% of room to move, whereas the anaerobic energy system, we're looking more towards 30 to 50% being trainable. So we've got more room to move with the aerobic energy system, and it lays our foundation for the rest of our conditioning. So make your way down to the description. I've got a blog post on this topic as well that covers everything in depth. I've also got conditioning programs for MMA, strikers, and grapplers, 3 separate conditioning programs based on individual tests that you will do. And within that program, it'll put you into which program to use based on your test, so you can essentially train your limiting factor within your conditioning. Also, if you like this video, please like and make sure you subscribe. It helps me make more content that can help you with your combat sports training.